can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, how are we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is that time for the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you live right now, coast to coast and around the world, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated. I'm your host, John Matthews. Glad to be back behind the mic. I missed this. You don't realize how much you miss doing what you love until you can't do it. And I was on vacation for 2 weeks over in European theater, and had no internet because they charged too damn much for it. And $72 for 120 minutes, and then $99 for every hour after that, just to use internet on a ship sitting out in the middle of the ocean. So I just said, you know what? I got a good guy on the microphone here, Joe Hakos, my co-host, and he can handle it. So I just kind of turned it out, tuned in or tuned out, as Tim Leary used to say, tuned out. But anyway, so let me bring Joe on. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm doing wonderful, John. Welcome back, you mad prophet, you.
Yes, thank you so much. And I got to start the show off by thanking Joe once again. I don't know what I would do without this guy. He just is always there. You can always come to him, just say, hey, I need something, and he just does it. One of the few people I know, aside from myself, that doesn't bitch about being handed something in the last minute. And I thank you so much again, Joe, for once again doing a great job while I was absent, missing in action.
No problem. We were more than happy to do it. Try to muddle through it. I don't know. I think it worked.
Well, it always does. I have I don't want to blow your head up too big, but
Okay.
You're one of the few people I've met in radio that I just. I don't know, from the first time we met, I just felt a connection. Like, this guy, we're on the same wavelength. We're in the same universe, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just, it's been a pleasant experience. How many years we've been friends now? It's got to be 3 or 4 at least, right?
I was thinking about that, when we first, like right after you went on vacation, I was thinking, I never got on the show and told anybody about myself, except that it's on the website. So I did that on one intro, but it was like, I was thinking about that. It's been a long time, man.
Yeah, it has really been a long time, and you never really realize it until something like this happens, and you kind of sit back and you go, wow, we've been doing this quite a while. When I was talking with some of the people on the ship, and people ask me, well, the first question everybody asks you when you tell them on radio is, what station are you on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're here in Europe. You're not going to hear me anyway if I'm on a station, okay? Yeah. So you have to explain the concept of internet streaming and stuff like that. But it's how long have you been doing it? I'm like, I've been at this 9 years now. And I'm like, it only seems like yesterday that we started. And it's the same thing, when you think of the relationships that you've made and the people you've met. Bob Cardoso is one of those people.
Yeah.
I've known him for, I don't know, 7, 8 years now. And it's like, oh, yeah. We met when I was first starting out in a studio, in a mutual studio that we were both trying to get our show off the ground. And just forming a relationship. So, and I think I met you through, I believe, Craig Andreessen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, Craig. And back when you were doing, what was that one thing?
CPR Worldwide Media, I think.
Yeah, but we were using some kind of, I can't remember what it was, one of those networks,
Live cast, I think it was.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, like that. It was like, okay, cool. And then, I would just, really, I was just calling up as I was listening and just call and reach out to you and just start talking to you on the air.
Yeah.
So.
I think what we started out with was we would talk about some blog that was out there or something like that. I think you were just really starting to write or something like that. Anyway, Craig just told me one time. He said, "Yeah, you got to get this guy on your show," and I'm like, okay, and it just progressed from there. So, And,
now look at it.
Yeah. So it's been a few years now, and I'll probably have to sit down tonight and think about exactly how long. I think we got to be looking at somewhere between the 3 to 5 year range for sure.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I mean, so it's been really, really crazy since we started going 5 days a week.
Yeah, really, really bizarre. And here's the I don't know if you want to what you want to call it, the idiosyncrasy of the relationship. We've never met face to face. I can probably find your house with no problem. Oh yeah, same here. In fact, I had somebody explain to me when I was on the cruise ship. I met somebody from Florida, and they explained to me where you lived, because I said, I know he's in the Panhandle in Florida somewhere, and he told me, I think you said you were like 3 hours from Tallahassee or something like that.
Well, there's a time change there. You go. They're in Eastern time, and we're in Central time.
Right.
So, but it's only about an hour and a half to get to Tallahassee.
Okay.
2 hours tops. But remember, there's a time change. So once you get across the one little river over here, then you're in the Eastern time zone. So if you leave here at 9:30, it's already 10:30 there.
Okay. So what we need? See, that explains that kind of. Fulfills my theory before that we should annex the Florida east of the international date line there, and designate that as territory of Cuba.
Well, that'd be pretty much on most of the states. So.
Yeah. I thought that after the Chad incidences during the Bush-Gore election. I thought.
Yeah. That's where the networks got reamed really hard because they called Florida right away. Not caring. I think they realized, they just didn't care, that the polls didn't close an hour afterwards because there's a time zone change there.
Yeah, so I was thinking we should build this big canal along the time change line and designate Florida, that part of Florida, as a different country.
See, but you're going to have to realize that that's already there. It's a river.
Okay.
I think it's the Apalachicola River.
Okay, so we just need to expand it.
Well, yes, but then you're really going to upset the people in Georgia because they think that water that goes into that river is all theirs.
Oh, I see. Well, there's part of Georgia I wouldn't mind losing either.
Yeah, there's water battles going on here in the South, man. There's people still fighting over water here, and rightfully so, because that river's all dried up because Atlanta's taking it all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever heard of Apalachicola oysters. But the oyster beds are dying up because there's no water coming down the river. So the governors are always doing it. It's been going on since I moved down here, and it's been going on long before I ever moved down here. So it's pretty crazy, actually.
The big thing I hear about Florida a lot on TV out here is that they have some kind of population problem with pythons and boa constrictors.
Yeah, that's down south, in the Everglades and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, so there was. Well, hey, you said you were talking to someone from Australia.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear about the lady that went night swimming in crocodile-infested waters and got all eaten up by crocodiles?
Oh, okay. And are they blaming the crocodiles?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think they're blaming the crocodiles because they had signs that say crocodiles live here.
Oh, I get it. So somebody's going to get sued over that. Okay.
Well, in Australia.
Yeah. I'm wondering what they're going to do with the zoo. That zoo, though, with the gorilla thing. That was a big thing on the cruise ship. Everybody talking about the gorilla thing.
Really?
Of course, as if that's really relevant. But somebody needed to educate the gorilla. You don't drag kids through the water, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay, fine. Hey, John, we got to take a break here, brother.
Yeah, we got to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to share with you some of the things I picked up on this cruise. Very educational, not just the scenery, but the politics. Really, interesting stuff going on around the world in the political arena. And what's really kind of funny is how the rest of the world is looking at us in this election cycle. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, who I think at this point, I guess I'll have to leave the show to Joe in my will. If anything happens to me, you got it, whether you like it or not. Okay.
Oh, gee, okay, thanks.
Okay.
Sure, I like that idea.
Okay. I wanted to touch base here, or I wanted to talk about many of the discussions I had while I was over there, over in the European theater. We took a 12-day cruise around the British Isles. We spent 3-4 days in Ireland, about 4 or 5, I guess, in Scotland, and one day in England and 1 day in France. Okay, 1 day in Paris. Which, by the way, we didn't do anything in Paris. We stayed on the ship because it was raining, just miserable weather over in Paris, which I think is very demonstrative of the whole attitude over there right now anyway. So I just took that as a sign from God. You don't have to go there. They actually were trying to decide whether or not we were going to go into Paris because there is a lot of rioting right now over in France. People don't know this, but the people are uprising because socialism and Marxism work so well, and everybody's so happy with it that they want to burn the city down. You know, a lot of political unrest over there right now, and it ties in not only with the economy in France, but that ties into the bigger picture, which is the referendum that's going on right now. We'll talk about it a little bit later. The referendum that's going on over there about whether some of the countries that are involved in the European Union want to pull out. And not only that, the United Kingdom is having a referendum as to whether or not some of the countries involved there, mainly Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England, whether they're going to remain the United Kingdom. So there's a whole lot of political unrest and instability over there in the European theater, much like what we see going on over here. So it's kind of really neat. But I wanted to let you go first, Joe, because you said you had something that would lead in. It would probably actually work better to lead into what I want to talk about. Yeah,
you were talking about these riots and everything. My wife gets this thing sent to her by this union that she has to belong to, right? Mm-hmm. It's from the Communication Workers of America, and on the back of this newsletter for the summer of 2016, it has this big letters: "Democracy Awakened takes on the 1%." And there's pictures of these people with their banners and "Democracy Awakened" and hashtag "Do Your Job." Let me see, and there's pictures of "Let's make every voice heard in our elections. My vote, my right." CWA taking a stand for justice. "We the people are not for sale." Justice and dignity for immigrants. And here, and just a little blurb here. It says, more than 400 CWA, Communication Workers of America, activists came to the U.S. Capitol to join in Democracy Awakening, a mass movement of workers, people of faith, civil rights, or as Ron Edwards calls it, bastardized rights, and citizens action groups, environmentalists, and many others. Our goal, here's the funny part, our goals are to get big money out of politics, stop the attack on voting rights, and restore government that is of, by, and for the people, not the 1%. Nearly 80 of these people were engaged in civil disobedience and were arrested.
You know, it would not surprise me to find out that Bernie Sanders is behind that. That sounds like the template, the Weather Underground template, which is the people that are actually working behind the scenes on using the Bernie Sanders campaign. I don't know that they're so much for Bernie Sanders as they are the opportunity to use his candidacy to promote, pure socialism.
Yeah, I mean, it's CWA taking a stand for justice.
Yeah.
It's just like really, you want to get big money out of politics, but you don't want to take them union dues out of politics. Now, do you unionize people?
It would be interesting to see where the CWA is putting their campaign money in terms of what candidate they're.
Oh, know what they're putting their money towards, and it's not Donald Trump.
No, I would just say, I speculate. It has to be Sanders. That sounds like the typical Alinsky talking points. the 1%, everything that Sanders is talking about, you don't hear Hillary Clinton talking about the 1%, because she is the 1%.
Yeah, well, gee, my goodness. I mean, that's a whole other story we could go into.
Yeah.
Foundation and it's blood money.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to know who the CWA is sending these union dues to support.
You know exactly who they're sending them to, John. You don't even have to even think about it.
Well, I'm just wondering.
Go by the terminology you're using. Democracy Awakening. For crying out loud. Really? Democracy Awakening? Yeah. And they're talking about people in their vote. Nobody's taking away anybody's voting rights. Yeah, not one bit.
No. That's got to be a Sanders thing. Sanders has got to be behind that. I would almost bet dollars to donuts. It sounds too much like his entire campaign.
It's just how the unions work, though.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, and it's like that's something here that's going on in terms of what's going on over in the European theater.
There you go.
There's not a whole lot. The people I talked to, there was no talk about unions. The thing that everybody was kind of hung up with in the European theater over there is really very parallel to what we're dealing with over here, and that is an establishment, an elitist establishment that has corrupted their system. Yeah. And they feel does not adequately represent what they believe in. But it takes on, it's a completely different, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's a completely different commentary when they talk, the way they talk about things. For instance, one of the things when we were in Glasgow, and they took us down to the Museum of Scotland. That's where we were at. And so what we found was, as I'm walking through the street, they wanted us to go into this museum, and I didn't really care to go in the museum. So I just I talked to the tour director, and I said, where are you going to meet an hour from now? She said, we're going to be here for an hour. I said, where are you going to meet at? Oh, we're going to meet right here. Okay, I'll be back here in an hour. She goes, well, you need to stay with the group. I said, no, I don't. I paid for this tour. I'll go where I want. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All you have to do is be where you're supposed to be when they're moving on.
I'm not a socialist yet, so I'll go. I go where I want to go because I paid to come here. Okay, so that's how I think. And so I walked around, and I found outside of finding a museum on Frankenstein, which was kind of cool. And I noticed there was there's this coffee shop sitting on the corner across from the Frankenstein Museum called The Revolution. And this coffee shop uses as its symbol a gold star, looks very Russian, and the revolution is spelled with a backwards E.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I got a picture of it. I'm going to post some of the stuff on my Facebook page and stuff later on. But so this was where, right next to this coffee shop, there was this sign that was there. And it was just a printed up sign that somebody put together. It's a public meeting, all welcome, dated Wednesday, 25 May. And that was actually, I think that was the day we were there, or it was the day after we got there, whatever. Meeting, and here you go. I mean, just think of the parallels here, just when we talk about stuff that goes on over here. This meeting was being held at the Edinburgh Methodist Church. Okay, so no separation of church and state here. Edinburgh Methodist Church at Nicholson Square in Edinburgh. Okay, and they give you a phone number you can call there. Speakers, Maggie Chapman, Scottish Green Party co-chairman. Kaiman Bukas, Real Democracy Now! Party. Donnie Gluckstein, the Socialist Workers' Party. Neil Finley, the Labour MSP Lothians Party. SNP speaker to be announced. Pauline Bryan, the Scottish Left Leave. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like liberal, okay?
Yeah.
Now, here's a little blurb. I'll just read you the blurb here so you get a nice idea what's going on here. Cameron and the Tories, referring to Prime Minister Cameron. Cameron and the Tories are calling a referendum on Britain's membership of the European Union.
Yes.
This issue will be center stage in British politics over the coming months. Europe has been a fault line for successive Tory governments since the 1970s, and this is no different. If Cameron were to oversee a no vote in the referendum, then most commentators feel They didn't identify what commentators they're talking about. That's very leftist, okay? So then most commentators feel he would be finished, okay?
Absolutely.
So, okay? Farage and UKIP are whipping up racism and xenophobia, while Cameron tries to outbid him with anti-migrant rhetoric. In this situation, how should the left respond? Should we campaign for Britain to stay in the EU and see its institutions as reformable and ones which can benefit the working people? Or should the left call for exit on the basis that it has overseen austerity across Europe and was instrumental in breaking the Syriza government's plans to oppose its huge cut programs? I guess they were austerity programs, meaning they were making cuts in government programs. This event is a chance to hear differing views on the left. And there is no such thing as a differing view on the left, but this event is a chance to hear differing views on the left to the challenge posed by the referendum and participate in a fraternal debate. Okay, so what they're doing over there is they got the socialists apparently a little bit tweaked one way or the other as to whether what countries might pull out of the European Union, and apparently this had to do with London because they mentioned particularly Cameron. Prime Minister Cameron. So the socialists are alive and well. They seem to be upset about the fact that Cameron wants to curtail refugees coming into the country.
No, he doesn't want to curtail that at all.
He does. Okay, it might be the other way around.
Yeah, he wants to follow the Merkel plan.
Okay, all right. So maybe I read that wrong, but but the point being is that this referendum that has come up for a number of reasons. And now my understanding to the people that I talked to over there, I had one tour guide that was pretty informative, pretty well understanding what was going on. Apparently they have this referendum in a timely manner every few years. I'm not sure exactly what the time span was. I don't remember what she said. But this is the first time that it has come up that people have been paying attention to it. See, this is always, whenever this referendum, I guess, comes up in their constitution, they have to, I guess, vote on it every now and then. And it's just been a kind of a going through the motions kind of thing.
Yeah, it's been rubber stamped, basically.
Yeah, it's just, okay, we got the referendum, okay, kind of like Congress, okay, we can't pass a budget, let's do a resolution, that kind of thing. And they just continue to, everybody just kind of, okay, no big deal. But this time around, something is adrift. Something is in the air that people are upset. And so I was looking at this, it's the parallel between what's going on over there and what's going on over here. There's a lot of parallels. We have the how many hours have we spent on this show talking about the delegate designation, how delegates get designated. Nobody cared about it until this election cycle. And it's because, well, we got Donald Trump on one side that the establishment doesn't want, and then we have the superdelegates on the other side that's going to do everything to keep Bernie Sanders from actually representing correctly the Democrat Party as socialists, okay, which is what they really are. Their establishment doesn't want to be seen, or they don't want to be exposed as total socialists. They're not ready for that yet. On the Republican side, we got the establishment that doesn't want to be exposed for anything. They just want to be a secret society.
Yeah, they just want to be reelected.
Yeah, and the people behind the scenes don't want any recognition. They don't want anybody to know who they are. They want to count their millions in private. Okay, so that it's kind of, I see that parallel. Now, the question I have before me is it American politics that has set this off, or is it European politics that has set off what's in America?
No, it's the globalists that set this off.
Right.
The Merkels over there. The people are upset with the migrant invasion of the whole European continent. And yeah, Obama's part of the problem too with his freaking stupid wonderment ideas of open borders. Yeah, this is coming to a head, and basically it's nationalistic. Like, that's a bad thing to want to have your own nation.
Well, and here's the deal. You hit the nail on the head, Joe. I'm glad you used the word. The globalists. And this is the left at work. The left attacks globalism when, in fact, they are the instruments and the people that have the architects of it. And, the Republicans, we have a mixed batch there one way or the other. But anyway, hey, we got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion here. I want to get into more of some of the personal politics, as I was referred to by one guy that I talked to at a table. He didn't like my personal politics. But we'll talk about the personal politics of some of the people I met over there from other countries. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Okay, hey, we're back. And you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, back from a nice vacation, well-earned and well-deserved. I have no shame in spending my children's inheritance. And we worked for every dime that we've ever made, and we have enjoyed it. And we're just fortunate enough to be at that place in our life where we can actually do that. You know, not a lot of people get to do that. And we've been very fortunate the way God has blessed us with blessing. And we're talking, you're talking to a guy that has, I have a pension from the Department of Defense, but it's not huge. It's less than $1,000. And with my wife's Social Security, believe it or not, we've been able to live very comfortably on that. And the only reason being is because my wife's very prudent with money. She knows how to manage money, and that's been a big deal. If it was me, we'd probably be in a poorhouse right now. I'd probably be one of the statistics that I sit on this show and bitch about. So, but anyway, we've been very blessed, able to pay off the house. So we have no debt. So it's been so it allows us to do this, go once a year and travel around the world and meet other people. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. But just before I do that, during the break here, I just happened to check. Joe was talking about CWA union, and lo and behold, they have endorsed Bernie Sanders. So we called that one. Once again, we called it right. So that's what it's all about. And I was looking at the website, the CWA website, and it says CWA endorses Senator Bernie Sanders for president, citing the need for a candidate who will break with politics as usual and fight for America's working people. The Communication Workers of America voted Thursday. I don't think your wife was at the vote, was she, Joe?
Negative. She was not there.
Okay. So the union voted Thursday to endorse U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, this was in December of last year, 2015, and I know she was not there.
Yeah. And what they mean by that is the people that run the union voted and decided to endorse Bernie Sanders, therefore contributing to his campaign. And the unions contribute far more than the corporations that they're bastardizing.
Well, yeah, the 1% and taking that big money out of politics. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They just want their money in politics, nobody else's. Hence, Citizens United, that's why they hate it.
And, I was thinking about this. We mentioned this on the show several times over the course of the last year or so, that when we looked at the donor list for the Democrat candidates, Bernie Sanders and what's the other girl? What's her name? Clinton. What's her name?
Wicked Witch of the East from New York or wherever she's from, Arkansas. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Wherever she's from. Yeah.
Well, she's not from Arkansas. Bill's from Arkansas. She's from Chicago. She came up through the Chicago machine.
Yeah, well, she's just still a wicked witch.
Right. The wicked witch. Yeah, the wicked witch of the Midwest, not the wicked witch of the West. The wicked witch of the Midwest. Okay.
Yes. So if you ever see flying monkeys, don't shoot them. They're protected Secret Service agents. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. There was a point I was going to make there.
Sorry, dude.
It's all right. It's not that it really matters. It's just. The whole point being, that's what it was. We were talking about the people that contribute to these campaigns.
Yeah.
And I think most of the unions outside the SEIU, most of the unions endorse or are behind Bernie Sanders. And the SEIU, because that's very firmly planted within the Democratic establishment.
Yes.
So they got to go with Hillary. That they would be pissing off Obama. Which, by the way, I think Obama secretly wants Bernie Sanders. I really do. I think that's who he really wants. We'll see how it goes. He's out. He's now starting, I guess, to show his head a little bit in the campaign. But, I don't see him really out there endorsing candidates. What he's doing is he's attacking Trump. And the reason he's attacking Trump, of course, is because Trump is a threat to his quote-unquote legacy.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So that's what it's all about. If you think Barack Obama gives a rat's ass who's in the White House, it's only because it's going to determine whether or not how much of his legacy gets undone and how much of it gets proven to be the facade that it is, the fake that it is. So anyway, back to my conversation here. Out on the ships talking to people. And the first thing I noticed during the course of 12 days, when we go on a cruise, we always sit in what they call the anytime dining area. You walk in and they put you at a table. And sometimes you sit with people, sometimes you don't. Where before, a lot of people have what they call scheduled time. They give you a time and you're at the same table every time you're there and you're with the same people the entire time you're there. I don't like that. It gets boring after about 2 days. So we always go with the anytime dining. And so that allows us to meet different people. And the conversations with foreigners, most of the people I met were from Australia and England, some from Brazil. There were a couple other miscellaneous countries which I can't call off the top of my head right now. But at the table when I sat with Americans, the most notable thing is Americans don't want to talk about politics. The people from Australia and England are really into it. They're not. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that they're really informed, but they're really inquisitive. They really kind of want to know what's going on, and they can. Each one of them that I did talk to some degree, was able to explain to me how their particular government system worked, unlike the Americans that I talked to, which is, I live in North Carolina, and whenever somebody tells me what state they're from, first thing I ask, well, who's your governor? I'm not really sure. Okay, who's your senator? I think one of the women had it right. I don't even know. Who's the senator in North Carolina? I mistakenly said Lindsey Graham, but I did that to provoke. I wanted to bring up Lindsey Graham because he's my pet peeve. So I thought, so I say, well, North Carolina, isn't that like, what's the deal with Lindsey Graham? And she corrected me. She goes, oh, he's Senator South Carolina. He's not our senator. I said, got somebody here that at least knows something, that kind of thing. One guy from Virginia. And I immediately mentioned the governor. What's his name? Terry McAuliffe?
Yeah, McAuliffe. A Quentin Bagman, yes.
Yeah. And this guy was a really, really staunch conservative. So when he said, I'm from Virginia, I went, oh, so what's the deal with your governor? And he goes, yeah, that guy's an asshat. I go, you and I speak the same language. That kind of thing. And he was perturbed. I met a guy from Boston who's just livid at the idea of the liberal politics up in Boston. And I'm like, you must be the only guy in Boston that's a conservative. How do you make it up there?
Yeah.
So it that kind of stuff. But for the most part, most Americans just kind of did the bobblehead. You talk and they kind of nod and everything. When I did have one guy that asked me not to talk about my personal politics, when his wife inquired to me what I thought about in North Carolina, this is a North Carolina couple, that's why I bring it up. They're the ones that stuck in my mind the most. She inquired to me as to what I thought about the transgender bill, the HB2 that's down there in, what state is that in, Georgia?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's a whole bunch of states are doing it now.
Yeah, the one that everybody's making a big deal about. I know it's HB2. I think it's Georgia. I think Georgia is the one. The governor down there signed it, and everybody's on his case about it or something like that. So, and so I began to explain to her about my views on the transgender issue. I said, first of all, the transgender issue isn't about transgenders. It's about advancing a political agenda to create a demographic, a voting demographic that represents the collective ideology. And so it's just like immigrants and the black community and everything else. They've created a demographic which they're going to pander to. So that's what we're talking about here. And so I got into the personal side of it, where I said, I don't really care what homosexuals do or transgenders do or anything else. What I'm against is the fact that we are now being ostracized and targeted and labeled and put off to the side as the dissidents because we don't want it being taught to our children, and we don't want to be forced by the law to either conform or remain silent. And
it's funny you bring this up, and we should probably. I guess I got a report that we can talk about after our break about the transgender thing.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's take our break, and when we come back, we'll turn it over here to Joe and let him expound on his side of this thing. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. Okay,
hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. If you don't know, you know now. And as we always believe, you're here by divine design. So don't piss off your maker and stay tuned in, and you might learn something. Okay, back to our discussion here about the politics around the world right now, and some of the things that I was relating to you about how there is a common thread around the world right now. There is a lot of political uncertainty in the minds and hearts of people around the world, regardless of what type of government they're under. And it would be interesting to know whether this is something that originated here in America or whether it's something that has made its way into America. I'd like to think a little bit of both, but as we've watched the socialistic experiment fail century after century, country after country, and the only difference being in America in the eyes and the mind of Obama is that we just haven't had the right person do it, and he is the right person. You know, that's what it's all about. He is a great socialist messiah, and he is going to bring about utopia because it's the right thing to do. And we need to do it now because, America has been such an oppressive empire for centuries now. And we just go about the world taking everything from everybody and just practicing our capitalistic greed. Which, by the way, it'd be interesting to know how much richer Barack Obama is now than he was when he first came in the White House. Somewhere along the line, maybe we'll get those numbers, okay? Anyway, Joe, you had something you wanted to share here. We were talking about transgender. The conversation was taking place at my table when a wife of one of the gentlemen at the table asked me about the transgender situation, and I began to tell her that, my big issue with the homosexual agenda is them trying to force me to be silent about my opposition to the lifestyle, not their right to the lifestyle.
Yeah, and they always want you to. Their way is the right way. There's no other way. You have to follow that. And this just came out today about the Georgia State ACLU director resigning after her daughters were frightened by men in the women's room, and so Maya Dillard Smith, whose resignation was reported by the Atlanta Progressive News, where I have shared my personal experience of having taken my elementary school-age daughters into the women's restroom when shortly after 3 transgender young adults over 6 feet tall with deep voices entered. My children were visibly frightened, concerned about their safety, and asking lots of questions, which I, like many parents, was ill-prepared to answer. So there you go. But she was all over, hey, I'm all for this transgender crap, but when it happens to them, my goodness, you stand up for this, but then you still don't know how to deal with it because common sense might prevail, especially when it comes to your children.
Yeah, and here it is. We're talking. Let's emphasize something here. This is the the state ACLU director. The people that are at the front lines of lawsuits over this type of stuff, trying to protect the transgenders, because litigation is money. It doesn't matter what they're litigating; it's money. That's it. Fishisms. You ever remember that show, Ally McBeal?
Yeah, I remember that show.
Okay, the guy that ran the lawyer agency that everybody worked at, and I don't remember his first name, but I know his last name was Fish. And he had these little lines he'd come out with once in a while. He called fishisms. And one of the lawyers was having an issue with the client that she'd been chosen to represent. She didn't think that the client was innocent. And Fish looks at her one day and says, here's my fishism. Fishism. That's how he would always say, fishism. We litigate. That's what we do. We don't care whether they're guilty or not. It's litigate. You litigate if they're guilty. You litigate if they're innocent, because we make money when we litigate. That's really how the people like the ACLU is. It's not really about human rights. It really isn't. It's about making money off of exploitation. It's just another reach. You could put blackface on these people, and you have Al Sharpton and what's the other guy's name? Jesse Jackson. Those people.
It's kind of funny. She said she resigned, right? And she goes, I find myself principally and philosophically unaligned with the organization after her children get frightened by the same thing she is fighting for. Yeah. Now she's philosophically unaligned with them. Now. Oh my. Oh, so it's okay. It was all right before until it hit home.
Yeah, let's think about it. Listen, I want to take another example here. I'm probably throughout the show today going to mention this gorilla thing. But there's a parallel here. I'm not going to talk about the gorilla itself. Here's the parallel. The celebrity activists, animal activists, PETA people, all these people are out there making this big deal about this gorilla being shot because this kid fell into the pit and the gorilla was dragging him around, this, that, and the other. And, these people are the first ones out there. The activists and the celebrities, the first ones out there talking about how insensitive we are to the plight of the animal rights and all this other stuff. In line with what you just said, Joe, I wonder if Angelina Jolie and one of her 13 adopted kids, one of those kids fell into the gorilla pit. Would she be standing up there looking at the guy with the gun going, don't shoot the gorilla? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. If a gorilla was in the audience of somebody's concert or one of the theaters, and somehow the baby gorilla got thrown up on stage, would they shoot the baby gorilla there, or would they shoot the humans?
Yeah. Well,
Silverback lives matter, man.
Yeah, and this is the parallel with what Joe was just saying. Okay, he's saying the ACLU state director. I mean, we're not talking about lower echelon here. State director of the ACLU. That's up there with Rachel Dexel, that kind of thing. The person that thinks she's black because she thinks she's black. Okay, and so we're talking to upper echelon here. We're talking about upper management. This is somebody who's been around for a while. This is somebody that's worked the system and knows the system and everything else. And I would not be surprised if one of the persons sitting in the initial briefing that came down from the heads of the ACLU that said, hey, our next target is the transgender group. We can make a lot of money representing these people and the homosexual people, so let's go after the bakers, let's go after the florists, and of course the church, the Christians, that kind of thing. Remember George Takei coming out there? Yeah, now our next thing is the church. We got to get the church. We got to stop the church, that kind of thing. And he's very closely associated with the ACLU. Now, my point being is that here we got an ACLU director who probably up to this point was buying into the narrative that had been passed down from her superiors and was disseminating all this information to her subordinates that we got to protect the transgenders. But her kids are subjected to what we have been talking about as to why we oppose this. Not that transgenders don't have a right to use a bathroom. It's that transgenders don't have the right to expose who they are to our children. Okay, and I don't mean that literally. That's not a pun. I'm talking about being able to come into a restroom just because, and we use the reference genderqueer. The genderqueer, which is their own label for themselves, people that claim to be all sex or no sex. Okay, and that probably is what she ran into. Transgender men or genderqueers came into the bathroom.
Excuse me while I use the ladies' room.
Yes, and I'm not going to use one of them bathtubs against the wall. I'm going to squat, that kind of thing. So the ACLU, now I wonder what's going to happen to this woman. I wonder if the ACLU is going to pull her pension, or whether she's going to be ostracized, whether somewhere down the line she'll be, what's the word? Ostracized, cast out.
Well, she's no longer useful to them, and it's just like anybody else. If you're on the left, you're always good. They'll always stay behind until you're no longer useful, and then they'll just throw you under the bus and run you over 5 or 6 million times.
Right. Yeah, you become one of the statistics of the other side. You become a dissident. You become the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely, and Ron Edwards has this done in his Edwards Notebook just quite well. This whole topic, I just love his Edwards Notebook.
Oh yeah, which one is that? Is that the Making Choices one?
Yes, it's the one. That's the one you sent me that I've been using for the last 37 days while you were gone.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that's the one I've got queued up here, because it's time. It's time for the Edwards Notebook, and it's the most recent date that I have, so it's probably the most recent one. I haven't caught up with my editing yet, and so that may not happen till the weekend, and that may not happen this weekend, because believe it or not, I got to preach this weekend. So there's a challenge for you. Anyway, we'll be right back. It's time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll pay some bills, and then we'll be back. And we're going to get into next hour Joe's continuing discussion that he started yesterday on the 10th chapter of the book. What was the name of that book? I got it here.
It's the culture-wise family, upholding Christian values in the mass media world.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Who stole our culture? And we'll be talking about that when we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
As Americans prepare to make a choice, may the wisdom of God guide us. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, when America was conceived, founded, and then firmly established by the Founding Fathers, they relied heavily upon what they dubbed as providential guidance. In fact, the first president of this great republic, George Washington, frequently prayed for wisdom to lead him and the rest of the Revolutionary War heroes in the quest to establish freedom from British tyranny with liberty and justice for all. The founders understood that in order for America to remain the land of the free and home of the brave, that the people would have to be connected to God and rely on His providential guidance. They understood that if sovereign individuals remained self-controlled via the influence of our Creator, then we, the people, would not be burdened by an abusive, overbearing nanny goat government. We can no longer ignore the negative cause and effect of America allowing progressive bigots to ban God and his positive influence upon our republic. If America is to be great again, she must first reconnect with the great I Am. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, out there in the Panhandle in the DMZ. I don't know. I thought I had a nice joke there, but that just fell flat like in a heartbeat. Okay. Anyway, So this hour, let's get into this conversation here. Joe, I guess, began yesterday to talk about an excerpt out of a book that was co-written, I guess. I don't know if that means he wrote it, Ted Baer and Pat Boone.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was about, it's a book that was written to urge people to make wise choices for themselves and their families. I don't know that, maybe the book is, I guess one way you can look at it, maybe the book is a little bit too late, or maybe it's ahead of its time, one way or the other. Given what we see in the culture today, I'm not so sure that we have enough people left to to make wise choices. I guess that's my point I'm getting at. But that doesn't mean that we don't continue to fight the good fight, okay? And we continue to try to educate, inform, and engage our listening audience and to get everybody on the right track and back to making this country, first of all, one nation under God, and second, the republic that our framers intended it to be, that would account for personal responsibility that makes up the individual personal responsibility that makes up the proper collective that we need to keep moral, social, civil society in order. I guess that sounds kind of pseudo-intellectual, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, so the con is yours, my friend.
Okay, cool. Well, yesterday it was Who Stole Our Culture was really the main theme on this. And remember, just to recap a little bit here, okay, the number one goal, that culture Marxism, and remember we're talking about political correctness and multiculturalism. Those are some of the buzzwords that you'll see out there, but it really comes under cultural Marxism. And the number one goal of cultural Marxism since its creation has been the destruction of Western culture and the Christian religion. So kind of keep that in mind, what they're trying to do. And it's kind of funny. Here's an example of Christian religion. Let's see if I can find this right now. Oh, where's it at? Oh my goodness! All these lovely things, and
that is one of the big issues with when you get such a complex article. I mean, you lose your place as you're trying for reference.
No, I was trying to find an example of the destruction of the Christian religion as part of the plan, and kind of keep this in mind. And this just came out yesterday. Philadelphia schools add 2 Muslim holidays into their plan. Okay, so they're gonna, and they're like, oh, but it's okay. The mayor's task force on cultural inclusion, that kind of stuff. So it's still going on right now, and it's happened in Philadelphia. And they're going to. But I thought we weren't allowed to have Christian religion in schools, but we can have Muslim religion in schools.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to get just to kind of point that out, and that's why this could probably go on for days. That we could keep talking. So again, early Marxist theory, and just like John said before, Barack Obama is the greatest Marxist in the world. He just knows how to do it right. Because World War I broke out, they figured all the workers were going to go ahead and revolt against the countries and have a Marxist revolution. That didn't happen. All the people went and joined up with their respective countries and fought a war, how we've known war to be fought, country against country kind of deal. And but as it says here, what went wrong? As good Marxists, they could not admit that Marxist theory had been incorrect. So we have to come up with another plan. So their plan was to come up with a way to make it the culture, make it an ideology. And so they had the Lucases of the world, and we had the Antonio Gramsci, and then we had Felix Weil, who had inherited millions, and he started the Frankfurt School. And you remember that it was obviously in Frankfurt, Germany, and this is 1920s Germany. And so Frankfurt, Germany, they wanted to call it the Institute for Marxism, but being the leftist Marxists that they are, they go, well, maybe we should probably give it a neutral sounding name, thus concealing our true nature and objectives. So they called it the Institute for Social Research. And then it became simply known as the Frankfurt School, which all worked out really well for him, in the 1930s, blah, blah, blah. But and then they had this guy, Horkheimer, who showed up, Max Horkheimer showed up and be one of their great leaders there. And it was all really cool right up until Adolf Hitler came to be in 1933 in the Nazi Party. And the Nazis didn't like Marxists. Remember that? And these guys were Jewish, and so these guys had the double strike. They were Marxists and they were Jews, so they had to leave. And where did lo and behold did they go? They came to New York City and Columbia University. And so they just started the Frankfurt School there. And they, of course, they called it the Institute.
Well, there's something here as I'm reading along here with you as you're talking here. This Horkheimer made three. He talks about three major advances in the development of cultural Marxism. First, he broke with Marx's view that the culture was merely part of society's superstructure, which was determined by economic factors.
Yeah.
He said that, on the contrary, culture was an independent, very important factor. I like the second one though, because this is the hidden agenda behind socialism or democratic socialism, if you buy in the Bernie Sanders idea of what socialism is. And that is that the working class would not be the agent of the revolution. Okay, now I want you to think about that, because up until this point, and I think pretty much here in America, it has always been the ideal that the working class is the one that would uprise and come up against the elites and the bourgeois. Is that how you say that? The bourgeois?
Yeah, bourgeois, yes.
Yeah,
Bourgeois.
okay. And so that means the revolution, the working class would not be the agent of the revolution. Well, who does that leave? That only leaves the impoverished, the true believers. See, this ties into stuff. As I'm reading this, I'm thinking, flashing back on Eric Hoffer, the true believer.
Yeah.
That the people that buy into the true believer concept and paradigm is not the working class. It's the impoverished. It's the people that have nothing left to lose. And so I was thinking, what the hell? Let's have a revolution. Let's burn it all down. That kind of thing. One remark, though. I wanted to make one remark. I hope I don't throw you off here. You're talking about the Frankfurt School.
Yeah.
And there's a line in here. It says, Weil responded. You're talking about, what's his name here? His original name here. Was it George Weil? Wire? What was his name? I can't find his name here. Anyway, the cultural Marxist realized that they could be far more effective if they concealed their real nature and objectives.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the very premise of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. This is the very premise on which his Rules for Radical was written. And that is to hide who you really are, not talk about what you really want. But what you do is you make, this is where we get liberal doublespeak. You take the words and you put them out there to the people, but they mean something completely different. If we talk about socioeconomic wealth gap, that kind of thing, cultural gaps, and this, that, and the other, those are words that can be used to appeal to a certain demographic of true believers, people that are, quote unquote, unfairly treated by the system and don't have the same opportunity as everybody else, which is what the premise of socioeconomic justice is. Okay, so, but that line, when I read that line, I went, I don't know if Alinsky copied it from him or he copied it from Alinsky. Probably because he was first. Maybe Alinsky got it from him. But the whole point being is that Alinsky was not really a socialist. He was more of a Marxist than a socialist, but he understood the advantage of using socialism.
Oh, yeah, you understand how to make the people and use people against each other.
Right, divide and conquer kind of thing.
Yeah.
So but the idea is that Sal Alinsky, when I read the book Radical in Chief by Stanley Kurtz, and this is what Obama trained for at the Midwest Academy, which was based in Francis Piven and some of these other great communist leaders of the time. And their main thing was, contrary to somebody like the Weather Underground, which was just radical overthrow of the government. The operation was run by Bill Ayers and has resurrected as Black Lives Matter, by the way.
Yeah, it's more in your face, yeah.
Yeah, more in your face kind of thing. And Alinsky was, in essence, what you do to overthrow the system is you become the system.
Yeah.
You come up through the electoral process and you destroy from within.
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of thing. So I hope I didn't throw you off there, but I wanted to make that comment, that parallel between Alinsky and what these people were talking about back in that day. So back to you, Joe. I'm sorry.
Wow, I think we got to take a break here, brother.
Do we? Oh, wow. It's already that time, huh? I'm having so much fun today. This is
I
great.
know.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it feels so good to be back here. Okay,
It's all good.
time for Moments of Madness, guys. And I promise after today, I'll get a new one up here, I hope. Okay, I know these get kind of stale after a while, but here we are. Moments of Madness. We'll be right back. Today on Moments of Madness. A recent fundraising email from the National Republican Senate Committee, NRSC, composed by House Speaker Paul Ryan and forwarded by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as if to give it a sense of super double importance, underscores the complete disconnect between the GOP's establishment and those they claim they desire so much to represent. The same can be said of their liberal colleagues on the left. Senator McConnell once again attempts to sway registered voters to support the GOP majority by reciting its far too predictable incantation. Without Republican leadership in both chambers of Congress, conservatives will not be able to pass the policies necessary to get our country back on track and restore the American dream. This entire claim by the NRSC is in and of itself as oxymoronic as it is insulting to any voter who embraces the pure ideological premise of limited government that defines authentic conservatism. Those like McConnell, Ryan, and Lucifer's texting buddy, John Boehner, have long marginalized their base, except when dusting off the mantle of constitutional integrity and voter trust that otherwise lies dormant between layers of false rhetoric, lack of diligence, and outright corruption between election cycles. Truth is, today there's absolutely no representation by any true Republicans any more than there is any evidence of leadership by any conservatives in both chambers of Congress. Here's the madness. While Speaker Ryan and Senate Majority Leader McConnell once again trust the stupidity of the American voter to blindly buy into their recycled template of majority means efficiency, they do so at their own peril. The presumptive nomination of Donald Trump, as well as a hangnail of the DNC, Uncle Bernie, indicates an oncoming tsunami of a dissatisfied, disenfranchised, ticked-off electorate who are not only ready for change, but ready to raise our entire system to the ground through a scorched earth strategy, complete with protests and riots that resurrect memories of the Weather Underground and Black Panther Party. There is indeed a unification of electoral allies forming, but these groups are not user-friendly towards each other or the establishment stalwarts that roam the halls of Congress. Donald Trump has incited a huge segment of the silent majority that makes up middle America that is so incensed at a government so intent on saving itself at the cost of our republic, they willingly line up for hours to listen to Trump's isolationist doctrine spewed under the brand of Make America Great Again. Even voters who once ranted religiously about vetting candidates that reverently follow principles of conservatism now line up behind their great orange hope, the Pied Piper of populism, prepared to walk off the cliff, completely blind they are embracing one of the main players who has helped orchestrate our current state of demise. In the words of Democratic pollster Mark Malman, Bernie Sanders is posting Kim Jong II-like numbers among young people, and those are people with no connection or loyalty to the Clintons whatsoever. Yet the DNC establishment, like its more than moderate counterpart who only physically occupies the right side of the aisle, also believe this demographic will eventually fall into line next to their already marginalized minorities, soccer moms, and Hollywood celebrities. The leftist establishment is just as oblivious to the reality. The dumbed-down collective they created over decades of pandering shows every indication the next generation is ready and willing to embrace Uncle Bernie's idiocracy in exchange for taxpayer-subsidized beer bongs and contraception stocked in transgender bathrooms throughout the safe spaces that now identify America's public education system. Yes, the disconnect between both establishment and the electorate they claim they represent is as obvious as an Obama photoshopped birth certificate to the discerning eye. It reminds me of the conversation between teacher Richard Vernon, played by Paul Gleason, and janitor Carl, John Capellos, in The Breakfast Club.
Hey, Carl, you think I give one rat's ass what these kids think? I said, you think about this. When you get old, these kids, when I get old, they're going to be running the country. Now, this is the thought that wakes me up in the middle of the night. That when I get older, these kids are going to take care of me. I wouldn't count on it.
To echo Carl's observation, neither should we. Yes, there is change in the air. We the people sense it and hear the call to do something, anything, no matter how reckless. On the other hand, the elites who have been ignored by us too long sense it also, but don't have a clue to just how close their world is to total upheaval. Somewhere in between hangs our republic. Maybe we need someone to send them an email reminding them who they are and what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't count on them reading it, though, or doing anything about it. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. We're back. And if you don't know, you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I do want to remind everybody, we do have a website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can go there to listen to all of our shows, find out whatever you want to know about our panel that's relevant to what we do. We're not giving you our PIN numbers, okay? But the things that are important are all there. And we have resources there. Links to other places that will give you some of the information for your own examination. You know, don't trust us to be the carte blanche source out there. Take the time to find out for yourself. TheConservativeSyndicate.net. All right, back to your dissertation here, Joe.
Okay, cool. And so just another thing here, since you were talking about it, the superstructure you were talking about, and then the third thing there was pretty. So I figured I better go ahead. This is important. This one here, because this is the one that affects everybody every day. Was the cross destroying the key to destroying Western culture was the cross. Marx with Freud, and basically they argued that the workers were just oppressed under capitalism. So under Western culture, everyone lived in a constant state of psychological repression. Liberating everyone from that repression became one of cultural Marxism's main goals. Even important to realize that psychology offered them far more powerful tool than philosophy for destroying Western culture. A psychological condition, and basically it's what we see every day out of Hollywood, every day that's on your television set. You know, when they want to make something normalized, they just put it on your TV screen over and over again until you become numb to it.
Yeah, you know, this is interesting in the sense of let's just take a moment to examine this. Just a moment here. When we talk about what TV and entertainment, movies, videos, music videos for that matter, and some of these things that we see depicted out there. And, you know, the argument from the entertainment industry is that it's entertainment. It's not really relevant. It's not part of a social experiment, a social engineering experiment or anything like that. It's entertainment. You know, let me dumb it down. Let me dumb it down so for some of you liberals that are listening here. If we had a video of Britney Spears dressed as a schoolgirl, like a little Catholic schoolgirl. I remember this video came out years ago, and it was a big deal about it, big scandal about it for a while. But it sold, okay, so it was okay. And, you know, she was wearing pigtails, and she was dressed like a, you know, little Catholic girl. Of course, the skirt, you know, showed her butt and everything else. And so when she was approached about that, because she was rather young then, and, you know, this was before all the other crap that just kind of showed her to be the psycho that she is happened. And so what happened was everybody started questioning this, you know, this branding of this girl, which was to appeal to the, what's the word I'm thinking of? Men that like little girls. I can't think of pedophile. There you go. And her thing was, and even with Michael Jackson, I remember Michael Jackson having this big interview about his beliefs when he came out with the album Thriller. Okay, whether he was into the occult and everything else. In fact, there's a big disclaimer on his video that he's not into the occult, that kind of thing, because people were assuming that what he was doing on the video was something that he believed in. Britney Spears, I remember her in an interview talking about, well, that's not really who I am. That's just the brand. Okay, I'm not really this slutty little schoolgirl, who's trying to turn on old men. It's just, that's the brand. That's the brand. See, that's what the entertainment industry does, is they try to tell us it's just entertainment. It's just entertainment.
Well, yeah, okay, just entertainment, but you also see it in every, our commercials going to be entertainment because you see it on every damn commercial you see. You'll see, you don't see the nuclear family as we used to know it on television anymore. If you see it on a commercial anymore, if you see a nuclear family, the dad's a bumbling idiot and the kids are in charge and mom's basically drugged out on the couch.
Right, so now let's just take what you just said there, Joe. Because I got a perfect example. The sitcoms, one of the ones I used to actually enjoy but bash a lot also was Married with Children. Okay, the husband's a bumbling idiot, can't do anything. He's got no skill outside of being a shoe salesman. Okay, that kind of stuff. And the wife is lazy, typical, couch potato. The daughter's a bimbo. The kid's, sexually deficient, that kind of stuff. And this was the typical American
thing on her was the dog.
Yeah, and by the way, who lived in Chicago? I just want to make the geographic relationship there. Lived in Chicago, okay? Now, but here's my point, is that when just what you're saying here, when we look at it, now what do we see today? There's a new show, by the way, with the same guy. What's his name? O'Neill?
Yeah, Ed O'Neill.
Okay, and it's called Modern Family. Okay, have you ever heard about this show, Modern Family?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Okay, you've got the homosexuals who have adopted children. You've got the Al O'Neill plays the husband, and I guess he's married to a cougar kind of wife, that kind of thing. And anyway, and it's all this show. The things that I've seen on it, I haven't really watched the entire show, but I've seen clips here and there. I just run across this stuff every now and then. And what you find is, everything is centering around the life of the children in the show. It's not so much the parents. It's how the adults are trying to adapt to the world of the children rather than assimilating the children into the life of an adult. And so it is a complete role reversal. And it's done in such a way within the concept of the modern family, which is what? The homosexuals adopting children and trying to raise them properly.
Huh.
Okay, so you see all this. You see, this is social engineering, and this is what the left denies the entertainment industry is about. They'll deny that this is about anything like that. We've gone from the Huxtabees or the what was Bill Cosby show? I can't remember their name. It was the Bill Cosby show, but it was the Huxtabees or whatever their name was. Okay, the perfect ideal family, the perfect ideal black family, very affluent people, that kind of thing. And so you see these progressive ideologies being reflected in programming, and the entertainment industry tries to convince us it's just about entertainment when it's not. It's about putting out perceptions, establishing paradigms within the ideology of the progressive mindset, that things should be a different way than what they are. And by the way, everything is a sitcom, which means you have the situation, crisis, and solution all within a very manageable time frame of half an hour.
Yeah. Well, my point to this all is it doesn't even have to be a half hour. It's a minute television commercial anymore. You don't even have to see it in a program. They do it in the commercials now, selling products.
Well, I expound on that a little bit more for me, because I think I lost something.
I mean, you'll see a product. You'll see a dad be out there with his child playing around, but you never see the mom, a sibling, or anything like that. It's just the dad and the child. Or you'll see a mom and a child. A mom takes the. I recall a travel thing where dad's taking his little girl to the zoo to see the tiger.
Oh,
well, where's mom?
I get you. Well, here's one. I'm throwing this stuff out here, Joe, because you've stimulated my mind. We watched a movie on the plane coming home.
It's the bottom of the hour here, brother. It's the bottom of the hour.
I'll cover this. Yeah, let me do this. Let me run our break here when we come back.
You go.
Just don't let me forget the name Joy.
Okay, got it.
We'll be right back, folks. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Okay, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and there's far and few too many of us these days. That was kind of a weird statement. There are far too few of us these days. Okay, all right.
Well, the ones that really know what we are.
Yeah, well, I've got to get my mind back on track here. I'm talking in Bushisms all day today. So
John's still on vacation, folks.
Yeah. Retraining. Anyway, back to this conversation we were having just before the break here, and we're talking about the effect of the media here. I want to read this one paragraph.
Joy.
To bring.
Remember Joy.
Yeah, and to bring up, and then I'll tie it in with the movie Joy.
Okay.
And Joe read this before. He says, the Frankfurt School initially opposed the culture industry, which they thought commodified culture. Commodified means branded. That's a phrase that would refer to the branding of something. Then they started to listen to Walter Benjamin, a close friend of Horkheimer and Adorno, who argued that cultural Marxism could make powerful use of tools like radio, film, and later television to psychologically condition the public. Social engineering. Benjamin's view prevailed, and Horkheimer and Adorno spent World War II years in Hollywood. Now, you guys also remember that George Goebel was very into the entertainment industry as a way of perpetrating propaganda to the Nazi movement. Okay, so it's not unfamiliar, and it's certainly not new territory. Okay, but it is a new medium that was being employed. It is no accident that the entertainment industry is now cultural Marxism's most powerful weapon. This is what we're talking about in terms of the entertainment industry employing what I spoke about earlier, the idea that we really don't want to tell anybody what we believe in. We really don't want to tell anybody what our agenda is. The Alinsky tactic of not revealing what you really are and what you really believe. The left calls it pragmatism, right? So, anyway, this movie Joy, getting to the movie Joy. This is, I guess, based on a true story about the woman that designed a mop that was sold on one of those home network channels, you know, where they sell stuff, jewelry and stuff like that. And she designed this mop, and as I was watching the movie, I remember I owned one once. And it had a thing that came over the mop head, and you just twisted the handle, and it would twist out the mop head, you know, wring it out so you wouldn't have to do it by hand, that kind of thing. Anyway, in this movie, what happens is the woman is talked into investing a lot of money. She puts a second mortgage on her house to sell this mop on this QVC channel, and it turns out when it first starts, it bombs. They had the wrong person doing the commercial, and it completely bombed, and she's on the verge of losing everything. And then she's told later on that she needs to declare bankruptcy. So her father talks her into declaring bankruptcy, and she signs the bankruptcy paper. And then she's depressed, that kind of thing. Here's the symbolism. I said all that because I wanted to see the symbolism. As she's sitting here deciding or trying to determine what she wants to do with her life at this point, now she's in debt. She's going to lose her home. She's declaring bankruptcy, all this stuff. All of a sudden, the head raises up, and she gets internally, you can see the idea is, the gears are turning. I've got to figure a way out of this. So she pulls all the paperwork. What happens is somebody takes her mop and actually puts a patent on it, so she no longer can now manufacture the mop without paying royalties. All right, so that's the circumstances that puts her in place. All these things in place, and she's depressed now. Now, here's the symbolism. Here's the social engineering. She raises her head up and she realizes that she's got a problem. She's in the bathroom crying, and she looks in the mirror and she starts staring at herself in the mirror. This is always the moment of truth when somebody's staring in the mirror. And so what does she do? She grabs a pair of scissors and she starts to cut her hair. Now, what do you think? I'm just going to throw it out here, Joel. Let's see if you can catch on to what I'm saying here. What do you think that represented? The cutting of the hair.
She didn't want to be a woman anymore.
Exactly. It was the empowerment of the woman, now pushing aside her role as a feminine figure in our culture, cutting her hair to take on the masculinity, the role of the masculine type, and she goes from dressing in blue jeans and t-shirt to leather with shades. So now she comes out. The next scene shows her coming on the street. Her hair has been cut. She's wearing leather and shades, from biker shades. And she is on her way to resolve this issue. What she ends up doing, she ends up cornering. She finds out in the contract there's fraud, blah, blah, blah. She ends up being the hero, okay? But it's the presentation of the fact that she had to step out of her role as a woman and assume the role of the man and be empowered to take charge and go out and conquer the world, kind of thing. Yeah. That's a good example of what we're talking about here. Okay, I know it's kind of a lengthy description, but you kind of get the idea of this is what it's about. Any movie you see from this day forward, when the woman cuts her hair, it is her becoming transgender. Okay, she is no longer a woman. She is now a man. She's now entitled to use a men's restroom, and she can go out and conquer the world because nothing's going to hold her back, because she's no longer going to be held down and oppressed by the paradigms that oppress women in today's modern age. Does that make sense?
I get it. I think it's crap, but yes, I get it. I don't. That's just the same as you're too dumb to do anything.
Yeah, well, it's just an example of what you're talking about here, and the fact that the socialists and progressives understand that Hollywood is the primary instrument by which they can advance their agenda.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, it's because it's got a large audience, and so they can just make a short. What was the movie? An hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, so in an hour and a half, you can get it out to millions of people.
Yeah.
Let me talk about some of the other things so we can catch back up. Okay. We talked about critical theory yesterday, the serve the person, negating Western culture, the powerful tool called critical theory. What was the theory? The theory was to criticize by subjecting every traditional institution, starting with family, to endless, unremitting criticism. And again, the Frankfurt School was careful to never define what it was for, only what it was against. It was hoping to bring them down. Critical theory is the basis, and you'll love this, for the studies departments now inhabit American college and universities.
Yeah.
Okay, so studies in prejudice sought to define traditional attitudes. Every issue is prejudiced in a series of academic studies that culminated in Adorno's immensely influential book, The Authoritarian Personality, published in 1950, invented a bogus F-scale to purport to tie traditional beliefs on sexual morals, relations between men and women, and questions touching on family support of friendship. Today, the favorite term, the politically correct use for anyone who disagrees with them, is, everybody, fascist.
Yeah, this is great. This article is a lot deeper than I thought it was.
See, that's why I knew once we started it was going to take longer than just one show.
Yeah, well, it is. It's so rich with just totally exposing the whole progressive paradigm and the mindset, how they operate.
But this is what's been going on for a century now.
Right.
For a century, this has been going on. So we have to. And how do you fight this? Well, you have to at least know about this.
Right.
And that was my idea behind it. At least let some people might know about it, and you might know about it in a different way, like you were talking about with what's his name, with that book here you were talking about that.
Linsky Rule for Radicals or Radical in Chief?
Well, what was the Radical in Chief? Who did that one?
I'm sorry?
Who did the Radical in Chief?
There's several of them. The ones I've mentioned, Radical in Chief, which was it's basically an explanation of how Barack Obama was brought up through the Linsky
No,
Rules
not
for
that
Radical.
one. Then it was another one. It was a guy from the '60s did.
Pat Moynihan.
Moynihan, that's it. Yeah, Moynihan.
Yeah, Defining Deviancy Down. It was
there you go.
An article that he wrote for the National Review. By the way, a Democrat.
Yes.
A Democrat who wrote for the National Review on how the country or how society defines deviancy down. As people become more immoral and corrupt, they simply redefine what morality and corruptness is.
Yes.
And what happens is, what happens is, the idea is that the system becomes overburdened. The system becomes overburdened dealing with the corrupt and the immoral. And so to alleviate the strain on the system, you have to redefine the parameters of what immorality and corruptness is.
Yeah.
And then that allows, that removes restraint, or it removes the burden. Okay? So when we talk about Saul Alinsky, which the tactic of the Alinsky is to do what? To overburden the system. And we do it through socioeconomic agendas. We do it through morality. We do, the homosexual agenda is a perfect example of what this is about. You simply overburden the system, whether it be through the court system or the economic system or whatever. Obamacare, what was that designed to do? Overburden the healthcare industry.
Cloward and Piven kind of strategy. And this directly relates to the next topic here, which was domination here.
Right.
And, Frankfurt School departed from the Orthodox Marxism, which argued that all history is determined by who owned the means of production. Instead, they said history was determined by which groups, defined as men, women, races, religion, etc., had power or dominance over other groups. Certain groups, especially us white males, were labeled oppressors, while other groups were defined as victims. Victims were automatically good, oppressors automatically bad, and it doesn't matter which group you came from, regardless of your individual behavior.
Right. So we empower the women and emasculate the men.
Yeah. So
we
redefine
the family unit, the family structure, and we introduce deviance as being family orientated, and say, and now we redefine the deviancy behind it. We say it's acceptable. It's an alternative lifestyle.
Well, yeah, and then they said in the next part here, through Marxists, the members of the Frankfurt School also drew from Nietzsche, someone else they admired for his defiance of tradition more. They incorporated into their cultural Marxism what Nietzsche called transvaluation of all values. And in plain English, that meant is to say old sins become virtues and all those old virtues become sin. Homosexuality is fine and a good thing, but anyone who thinks men and women should have different social roles is an evil fascist. And what political correctness now teaches children in public schools all across America, and the Frankfurt School wrote about American public education. It said it did not matter if school children learned any skills or facts. All that matters is they graduate from schools with the right attitudes on certain questions.
Right. Okay, with that, let's take our break here, our final break for the show today, and we'll be right back to continue our discussion here on how is our culture stolen. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, and I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Joe Hakos. And just before we enter into this last segment, I just want to, once again, I want to thank you, Joe, for standing by and running the show here while I was gone, and just keeping things going. So,
Privilege. It's a privilege.
I can't do it enough. I can't thank you enough. I wish I had about half of Rush Limbaugh's salary so I could pay you for this, but
yeah, I'd stop working too.
Yeah. Now we're talking about this article that Joe found and began talking about yesterday, and we're going to revisit this during the week. I think this article it so well interfaces and interlaces with many of the things that we talk about in terms of trying to figure out not only what's wrong. I mean, I think a lot of people are catching on to the idea of identifying the problem and the source of the problem. The problem or the challenge we face as conservatives, as Christian conservatives, and if I can go even a step further, as Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christian conservatives, is how do we recover? How do we recover? Because this is something that it's taken decades for this to come to this place where we're at right now, and this didn't happen overnight. This did not happen with the immaculation of Barack Obama.
No, it's been going on for over a century now.
Yeah, he's just a designated point man that somebody said, "Hey, let's give it a shot here." The Saul Alinsky rules of radicals. He's played the game. He knows how to use them. Let's see how much crap we can throw against the wall and see what sticks. That kind of thing, because that's and
it just happens to be all the stars align. He has a bunch of people sitting there in quote unquote power in Congress who do absolutely nothing because they're feckless, spineless, mindless, freaking scaredy cats who are afraid of their own shadows and being afraid of being called racists.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it's a combination of it's the Gruber theorem. And that is, the stupidity of the American voter. Lack of transparency is a great political advantage. All the things that he has taught us as one of the architects of Obamacare. And this is what they've employed. As we said earlier, they don't tell us what they really mean. They use language we use, but has a different meaning to it, a different implication. And
look at Obamacare. Look at Obama. Do you think Obamacare would have passed if Obama would have came out and said, "Hey, this is not only going to cost you your health care plan that you have now, but it's going to cost you more money for less service"? Do you think if he'd have come out and said that, because that's the absolute truth behind it, that he had to lie to get it through to get people to be behind it, just like the Iranian nuclear deal?
Yeah, we find the same thing with the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Nobody knows what's in it. We find the same thing with the Iran deal. Is the line? We're finding out now. I was just hearing about it was exposed that the State Department actually manipulated a testimony, took 2 minutes of a testimony out of a video that was shown to Congress. It was supposed to be shown to Congress, showing that the Obama administration had actually been negotiating with Iran long before they finally came out and said that they were.
Yep.
And when they had been asked about it before, they lied and said, no, we're not negotiating with them. We find out their decision was to keep it secret because we were in negotiations. We didn't want anybody to know because that would have endangered the negotiations. Same thing with Obamacare. We got to pass the bill to find out what's in it. Now we see that there's some people in Congress now all of a sudden want all these documents about Obamacare. And Obamacare, really? And Obama's saying what? He's saying, well, executive privilege. I don't have to give you that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, their agenda has to be secret. If they told you the truth, you'd never go along with it. Ever. Ever. You would never, ever go along with that progressive liberal agenda. And that's just the current phraseology they're using. We could call it the Fabian socialist agenda because it's the same thing.
Right. Now, I want to jump ahead here, and we'll come back and revisit some of this as the week goes on here. The counter strategy, because we've become very good at identifying the problem. What we're not so hot on is how are we going to stop this? How are we going to stop it? And that's why we have people like Trump as our nominee. Nobody knows what to do to stop it. Even the establishment doesn't know what to do to stop it, or at least they claim they don't. Okay, now, in this article, the suggestion is 2 strategies. One, we can try to retake the institutions that are out there right now. We can try to retake, and that's what the general perception is right now. Trump's going to get in the White House, and we're going to retake everything back. Yeah, we're going to restore order. We're going to put everything back in its proper place. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it's a full frontal assault.
Yeah, he may be able to stop some of the bleeding, maybe, but nothing. If you believe that Donald Trump is going to fix this country, you are insanely idiotic. It just isn't going to happen. I don't care. You can call me whatever you want to for saying that, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're just greatly misguided. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, much better phrase. Okay, but idiotic is more what I'm thinking of. Okay, there's another more promising strategy the authors write here. We can separate ourselves and our families from the institutions the cultural Marxists control and build new institutions for ourselves, institutions that reflect and will help us. What he's talking about here is we can employ our own set of Alinsky tactics. We can reestablish the institutions that we value so much and use those institutions to basically overcome, first oppose, and then overcome the opposition. Because this is what the left has done. Over decades, this is what they've done. They've infiltrated our institutions, and through deconstructionism and redefinition, they have basically either stolen it from us, as this article claims, and they've redefined it. It's not that it doesn't exist anymore, it's just it's been redefined and people don't recognize it anymore. But we can do this, and I bring this up just for one reason here, because we've only got a couple of minutes left here. This is why I say we need a new political party. We need a conservative political party. We need to break away from the GOP. The idea of restoring and retaking the GOP is a pipe dream. We need to start from scratch. We need to we need to pay the dues, and we need to do what's going on. Now, the establishment's trying to do this right now, floating out this idea they're going to come up with an independent candidate. I don't know if they will or not, but the point being, they are seeing it that way. We need to start from scratch. We need to scrub the Republican Party because it no longer serves the establishment. So let's reestablish a new party for the establishment. Now, I'm not saying that I condone that, but I'm saying the idea is good. It's the right idea, the wrong thing, the wrong objective, if that makes sense. Okay? So we got to leave it at that because of our time. But I thank you for bringing this article up, Joe. We're going to revisit this again tomorrow, probably the rest of the week, off and on. It'll interlace and interface with everything else that we're talking about on this show. We love you guys. I'm so glad to be back. So glad you supported Joe while I was gone. And we thank you again for your loyalty. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. God love you. We'll talk to you. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.